Hello everyone, this is Andrew McNair from SWAN Capital with our October 2024 SWAN Report. In this month's video, we're going to discuss some recent headlines that have influenced the financial markets and take all of the noise and the information that you've been receiving in the news and distill this and what it means for you in your retirement portfolio. Now please stay tuned at the end of this video for a required disclosure statement. At SWAN Capital, our market outlook is cautious because of world conflicts, higher consumer credit, coupled with higher market valuation metrics pointing to an overvalued market. The S&P 500 hit a new all-time high this month, and it's the 45th time it's done that in 2024. The Dow also saw a new high after the earnings season kicked off in a big manner and in a positive way. One area of disappointment, though, was inflation, which ticked up by 0.2% in September. That's going the wrong way for inflation. We needed to stay cooled down because of all the inflation that we've experienced over the last few years since COVID. Now, core inflation, which excludes food and energy, actually rose 0.3%. Inflation is at a 3-year low from a growth rate, but it's cooling more slowly than expected. And we've seen this with core prices also increasing 3.3% year over year. So it's not that inflation has gone away, it's just cooling down. But there's still an ever-present inflation that we're experiencing as consumers. Now, after the Federal Reserve delivered its first rate cut in over 2 years, all eyes are now on how many more rate cuts are we going to get? How soon can we expect them to happen? And whether the data will support the narrative for the Fed to continue its rate cutting. Now, if we take our focus towards the jobs market, if we look at what's called the JOLTS report, it's the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Summary. For August, it showed openings have actually gone up instead of coming down, suggesting that the jobs market isn't slowing as quickly as the Fed wants it to. Then there was the ADP employment report for September's consensus, which was calling for an additional 120,000 jobs, and the actual number was 143,000. However, wage growth was muted, so that may keep the Fed on track for more rate cuts. This was all the backdrop this month when we received the BLS report, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, aka the non-farms payroll for September. And so here's what's interesting. The consensus was calling for 102,000 new jobs, but what we got was a whopping 254,000 jobs and a drop in the unemployment rate from 4.3% to 4.1%. Now here's the problem. Of the jobs added in September, well over half of them were in government, healthcare, and social assistance. So the latter two categories are largely dependent upon government spending, which again, government spending is out of control. The next highest source of new jobs were in mining and logging, which are well-paying jobs and needed. And then there's leisure and hospitality, which are not so well-paying jobs and is sadly very seasonal that could be chopped very quickly if we run into a recession. It still appears most of the job growth is coming from the government-induced spending and low-paying jobs in the service sector, which is not a sign of healthy recoveries. Employment numbers for July and August were also revised upward by 72,000. So as if the election wasn't enough to dominate the conversation, it looks like things are beginning to ratchet up as we start to see a new quarter. We are often told to expect an October surprise in the weeks prior to the election day. Now this time, any surprise we might see could be crowded out by all the unfolding current events of our time. First, there's the issue of an escalating tension and possible expansion of the conflict in the Middle East as Israel prepares to strike Iran after Iran launched missiles in response to Israel's assassination of Hezbollah's frontman and his cronies as well. So Israel was responsible in responding to a Hezbollah attack on them after they attacked Hamas. So it's going back and forth, but sadly this conflict that's going back and forth is starting to expand. And as you've seen in the news, this does not mean good things for the economy. This is the perfect black swan kind of event that we talk about on a regular basis that could send markets spiraling. The issue for markets is the Iran situation is that it still produces about 3% of the world's oil supply. And as we're not drilling as much here domestically, that disruption in oil production could have impact on the price of oil and economies worldwide, including ours. And then if that wasn't enough, then our southern states are still grappling with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene as well as Milton, which caused severe damage to Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, as well as Tennessee. People are struggling, and there's a lot to be done after this aftermath to get us back to where we were. And it's really hard to assess how far of a response FEMA is going to have to make because we're just in the infancy of rebuilding. When it comes to these natural disasters, there's a lot of downside risk for people in charge, but comments from the administration are not helping. With FEMA not having enough money to make it through the hurricane season, did not give or bolster confidence for the American people that are reeling from all of the situation that they're in after the aftermath of these storms. All people affected by these natural disasters are certainly in our thoughts and prayers because we know what it's like here on the Gulf Coast to be hit by some of those terrible storms. Any of these events could cause concern individually. But all at once in the month of October, before a presidential election, is astounding that the market keeps on setting new highs. There's also potential for any of all of these events to make it into a domino effect for the markets to start falling and correcting. So that's why we're being very defensive at this point. Now that wraps up our market recap for the month of October, and we'll come back with fresh updates for the next month. Now before I go, I wanted to highlight a couple of events that we had the pleasure of hosting this month and events that are coming up in the next few weeks that I don't want you to miss. On October 5th, the SWAN team organized its annual luau party, and it was amazing. Close to 200 clients were able to join us that evening. We had a shrimp boil, a roasted pig, music, we had a fire show, we had fireworks, we had it all, and it was amazing, all overlooking the lake at my house. But if you missed it, don't worry, we have the Christmas social coming up, and you'll get to see Santa and all of your friends there at the Christmas event. So please be able to RSVP as soon as you can to make sure that we have room there for the Christmas party. This month, we also enjoyed talking at the Fairhope Library and at Jesse's Steakhouse in Magnolia Springs. We talked about estate planning, tax planning, and retirement planning. If you would like to invite one of your friends, neighbors, colleagues, or a family member to one of these events, this is a great opportunity to introduce them to our firm as well as Scott Malik and our CPA. So definitely sign up for some of these events that we're going to have in the first quarter of 2025. Also, I want to let you know that we have that Christmas social coming up as well as our November 22nd volunteer event at the Dream Center. This is our last event at the Dream Center. And so come join us, make a difference in the community by helping organizations in need. If you're a great cook or baker, we'll be bringing lasagna and brownies to give away at one of these amazing homeless shelters that's doing really good work in our Escambia County community as well as abroad here on the Gulf Coast. The Dream Center, again, this is our last opportunity with them. We'll have a new charity in 2025, so don't miss those volunteer events. However you can get involved, sitting down, doing lawn work, we have plenty of opportunity to do good for this charity. So if you can make any of our events, be sure to reach out to Ashley and she'll make sure that she puts you down as an RSVP for any of the events that we have coming up. And I'd be excited to see you at any of these events. That's going to be it for this month's SWAN Report. I want to thank you for listening to this report every month and staying tuned so that you're learning more about what we're doing with our portfolios and how we're trying to prepare your retirement for any storms that may lay ahead. Now, please remember that nothing that we talk about here is a recommendation. If you'd like to discuss your personal financial situation, do give us a call at our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-848-8768. That's 1-800-848-8768, and we'll be happy to talk to you soon. See you next time.